in this course.
Wrong color.
Oh man. We'll start with the homework you have. I understood there are some questions. So let's start with answering the questions you have, and then we'll continue. Anyone?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just need to find the exact part of it.
Okay.
So it might take a second. Okay. When in the second user form.
The second question?
Yeah. So what we needed to do for the combination for concurrency is to take the range of the table. We need to have it so we would choose from the two that would go to the exact exchange rate. Okay, and so on the homework you said to use list index. Okay, fine. So at least how I used it, it worked. I don't understand why it worked. I got it from someone else, or someone else figured out or Googled it or whatever it is. I don't understand why it works. Why? Because at least how I did it, I have it as this. I have it as x equals come from cur dot list index, and then y equals that. The x and y are vector doesn't actually mean like that. They're both sourced from A2 to A5, which means they're both going down the column. I don't understand how it knows to have one of them sourcing from the y-axis and then meeting to a point. They're both sourcing from the column. I don't understand how that knows that to go into the...
Okay.
That's a good question.
You did plus 2, right?
Yeah, and plus 2.
Y plus 2?
Because it's going from 0.
Right. Okay. Is everyone on top of this? You know what we're talking about?
Yeah. This is question 2, part 4. No, but it doesn't really make sense because, like, yeah, how does the computer know if you're talking about the rows or the columns when you're making
Okay,
the...
first of all, in the list, they're both the same, right?
Yeah. As in they're sourced from the... Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're 2 different combo boxes. They're not
Yeah.
sourced from the same thing.
But the list that they... Okay, each one takes the position in the list that you chose, right? Then you add 2 to add the 2 first lines that... one for 0 or one for the first line or the first column, right? Now, how do you use these x and y? In what command? What? You got the numbers from the list index, but then you got it numbers in x and y. How did you use x and y? What did you do with x and y in your code after you got the list index?
How does it get x and y? I mean, what size when we want to
Okay, you have 2 variables.
Correct.
You just said x and y, right? In x you put in the number that you got from the list index.
Right.
And in y you put another number. Okay, so now x and y have numbers in them.
Sure. Fine.
Okay? How did you use x and y later on in your code? What did you do with the x and y?
Dot list index.
Okay, and that's it? You got x and y and you didn't use them later on in the code?
I don't think.
Use them for legal rate.
Right, use it for label rate, correct, yes.
And what
Label rate equals cells x plus 2.
that's the answer. Cells.
Okay. And so once I put it in the y, then it's just taking a number. And then putting that number into the y.
Cells. Gets 2 parameters.
Right.
What's the first?
X and then y.
That's what you put in. But what do they mean? What is the first one?
It depends on what I chose. I mean,
No.
I'm saying it is x. I'm saying it is the...
Never mind your specific example.
Right.
Row and column.
Cells. Right. Exactly. Row and column. Right.
Right.
So here is the answer. Once I put these numbers in the function cells, function cells gives them the meaning of row and column.
So, fine, so that makes sense for this. However, if I was doing an example, let's say, in this example, they were all equal. As in, 1 and 1 is both $1, 2 and 2, they're both right to checkout. But if I was doing something with the rows and the columns were different things completely, so then I couldn't do it like this, no?
Not exactly, but plus 2, you do plus 5, plus whatever, you play with the plus. And usually it doesn't make sense to have different things in the row, in the first row and the first column. Usually when you have these kind of tables, you have the same list in both of them. That's the usual. If you have something unusual, you have to play around with the code to fit it into, but the usual.
This is expectation.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I had one more, I don't know off the top of my head, so I can just come to you.
Because you got it, I mean, well, once again, you just use, the list box is get.
Not list box.
This index.
List index. Okay? So you have a list of different items. Okay? Each item has a number. Starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So if the user chose this item, which is the fourth item, the list index would say 3.
Okay.
Okay? So if you want to know which item he chose, you use the list index and you put that in a variable. X equals the name of your combo box dot list index, and you get the number in the list that he chose. Now you can use this. Okay, if you know that these are in the cells in the worksheet, okay, and you know that the worksheet starts with, this is A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the title. Okay, over here we have the title. All of these are titles. And over here we also have the titles of the rows. Okay? And he chose the fourth one. Okay, so it starts here. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Why does it not start from the first one?
What?
Why is that something?
Here we have a title.
Ah,
In the worksheet we have a title over here. Okay? So when he chooses the fourth one, it's actually the fifth item in the worksheet. That's why we need to do x plus 2.
We ought to give you 6, no?
What?
Well, I mean,
No, x equals 3.
no.
Right? Why is x equal 3? Because we started over here in 0. Over here we start in 1. So we're already back 1. Okay? So we need to fit in this 1. And then we have another one that we're missing because 1 is the title. We didn't start the list from 1. We started from 2. Okay? So we need to fit in these two, the 0 and the 1, which are, this starts with 1 and title. That's why we need to add 2 in order to get to the right position of the item that the user chose, where it is located in the worksheet.
No.
And the same works for the columns and the rows.
Okay, and now follow-up question. If we did this code, is there a reason why you would have to do this, shekel dollar thing first before the other boxes? Because if I did other boxes, the ones on the bottom, first, like I would put in like 50, and then I try to do the shekel here, it doesn't work. It comes with error.
Depends how you set up the code. Okay, because it depends where you put the code of each one of them, and sometimes if you put the 50 and you don't have something in the shekel and dollar, then it already tries to to do the calculation, but it has nothing over there. So like if you multiply 5 by nothing, you get an error.
But is that also
Okay.
assuming the user form assumes you're going to do everything in order? Because that he's right. That is a big thing.
Okay.
Like only
You-
someone who's crazy should
if-
really be jumping around. You should be
If
doing it in order.
in real life, you should take that in consideration.
Yeah.
Okay? And you can add code that if someone puts in something into the amount before he chose the currency, then a message box will pop up and say, please choose your currency before entering the amount, and it will cancel erase what he did.
Okay, so
Or
there's no-
any other way you want to deal with it. That's in real life. In the course and for the test, if you're not requested to do it, it's a lot more code to do.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you're not requested, you can assume that they're doing it in the right order. But you have the knowledge, if you did this, you have the knowledge and the tools to take care of all of these issues of someone doing it not in order. You can take care of that by adding proper code, and if you think about it, you can do it. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I think in general, I don't know, it might just be confusion for me though, so for error go to mistake, I think I need some review on, personally, on how to do it. I couldn't figure out how to have it not show up every single time you did anything anyways. The message box is saying you need to change.
Let's go forward.
Okay, so in some place where you expect an error, you say an error, go to,
It's where you expect the error, not just the beginning, wherever you expect
you
the error.
could, but usually you do it for a specific error you anticipate that might happen,
Okay.
okay? So you do it just before where you anticipate that error to occur.
Well, so this anticipation is when you do nothing, as in, so when you do nothing, that is the mistake, so that'd be at the beginning then,
Yeah.
right?
What?
And specifically in this case, so that would be, since our error is that the person didn't click on anything, right, didn't choose anything. So it's not that he did something, it's that he didn't do something. So that therefore.
If you didn't click on anything, then what happened?
No, so I'm asking, so there, well.
What error would happen if you didn't click on
I think
anything?
on the homework it would say if you didn't put in a number, press calculate.
Okay, so he did something.
Press calculate.
Right. That's where you're gonna anticipate an error if you didn't do before that something else.
Right.
Okay, but if you're just staring at your user form and not doing anything, no error would happen. He has to do something. Okay, there's an action that he needs to do. You need to figure out which action he would do and what was expected to be in another place, and then you take care of the error and you say, if this is empty, then do this. And then you don't need even the on error go to, because you know exactly what's the problem when you give him a message box. If please enter a value in before continuing. Okay?
Sure. Okay, so
So that answers your question?
I think so. The syntax is on error go to, and then you put wherever you need to, you put mistake.
Okay, so again, for this specific case, I'm not sure you need the on error go to, but let's go and review the on error go to in any event. You understand why you don't need it?
I think I was just, in the homework it said to put one. That's why.
Oh, okay, so
No, am I wrong?
I don't know, I don't remember exactly what,
You are in the right. Oh my God. Unite the right.
okay, so
Slip that in there.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. In in number 2. In question 1. Yeah, 4D. And 5E.
Okay. Okay, so what error are we expecting over here?
Frame, I'm not looking at his frame, so not fit anything, is that what it was?
If error occurred, display the mentioned error occurred.
For instance,
For instance, if we didn't put a number to calculate.
over here you need to give a new name, change the name of a sheet.
Right.
Okay, if you didn't put anything over there, and it presses the command button, then we cannot change the name of a sheet to an empty string.
Right.
Okay, that will give us an error. Okay, and then an error will jump up.
Right.
So on error go to, and then you, whatever, what you want to give here. Just give me a,
Mistake. What did you do before?
okay, mistake. Like this. Okay, and then somewhere towards the end of your, and here will come all the code that you want if the error did not happen, okay? If you did it properly and everything worked properly, you want to do all of this, okay? Now, if he didn't enter anything and he wanted to change the name of the sheet to something empty, then you want to jump over here and not show the error window, the automatic error window of Excel.
Right.
Okay? And over here you write message box, whatever. Okay? And then comes the end sub. Okay?
Okay.
So you get a message box, you didn't enter anything in the, now, you, if I understand correctly, your question is how do I prevent this occurring even if there wasn't an error, right? So anyone can give us,
So, just like in New York, you exit sub, you exit the subway.
exit sub. Exit sub means I didn't get to the end of the sub, but I want to exit over here. Meaning, if I got to this point and there was no error, then stop over here. There's no need in continuing to this code beneath it. But if we didn't get over here, we jumped over this because there was a mistake, was an error, then do this. Okay?
So you put the exit sub after all your ifs, after all your syntax you want. You put exit sub and then.
Something very important. Okay? And if I want the attention of everyone, all I have to say is for the test.
Nice.
That's a good burn.
The real OG.
Good for it.
If I add over here the words resume, next,
Nice.
this would take me back to where the error occurred and not continue down over here, okay? So this is like a double loop. Not a double, a loop around, okay? So if there was a mistake, I jump over here and I skip all of this. And I get to here and I put out the message box. But then I have resume next, going back to where the error occurred, and giving the user the chance to redo it. Okay? So this is something we didn't see, but it's a very important addition. Okay? So I don't have to end the sub after giving out the message. I can let the user go back to where he missed out something, do it, and continue. Now if he's gonna do it again, then we're gonna jump over here and get back here again, until he gets it right.
So in this case, we want to put that, as in if
Yeah.
you didn't undersheet, so closing the whole thing,
Mhm.
right, okay. Resume.
But it's not like a loop where it's like kind of keep, is it like a loop where it can get dangerous and it'll keep looping, and you can't get out?
If there isn't if the mistake is something that there isn't a way out, then it'll get the mistake every time, go over here, get the message box, go back over here, and get back to the mistake. Okay, so if you there's no way to take care of this at this stage, then you will just go back and back. So you need to figure out exactly what you're doing.
That was irritating with the loops.
Okay?
I'm just trying it out, I think that was everything I had.
Is there a thing also where you could do like a skip error, where you could like skip the error and keep going, like keep the program rolling? Also, is there some way to do this too? Like on error, keep going, resume or something like that?
Something's made the error happen. Okay? If you continue without taking care of the error, there is but not for this course. Okay?
Okay, and it's not, it's still showing the message for me, hold on a second.
Did you put exit sub?
Yeah. Sub.
Yeah. Like this message.
Literally since
I think the issue might be because when I press, no, that's not it.
Okay, I'll look at it later.
Oh yeah, I'll bring it, thank you.
Okay?
I appreciate it.
Any other questions?
This isn't a question as much as it is awareness, and I was going for one of the
Of what?
like awareness, like for everyone to know. In one of the practice exams, so there's a question in the user form where you're checking and like two things: if you did a bagut, if you did a psychometry. So when you do the final ifs don't like when you have a lot of ands and a lot of ors. So sometimes you need to like set one of the conditions to like x equals false, so then like have all those conditions which represent a lot of other things in a single if. Like, I don't think that's something that we learn.
Okay, again, you could have an if that has this and this or this and this, no problem. So what are you saying?
In one of the questions, it's asking you, what's it called? One of the questions it's asking you, like, did you do a bagut and did you do a psychometry? But then you have another condition below it. If you did psychometry but it's less than 80 and if your bagut is over 90, it's problematic in the if because you're going to write if X and B and C and D, but it's not the same thing because A and B are one condition and C and D are another condition. So you need to set A and B to an integer, and you need to set C and D to another integer, and use an F using those. I don't feel like we really learned that. I can tell you what question is if you want.
Okay, so let's get it. You have over here like bagut and you have over here.
Psychometry. נכון.
Okay.
נכון.
Now you want to check if P
If you did P even.
not empty.
Yeah. If P not empty.
Okay. Now what?
And now after that you could say what's called if bagut is greater than 90.
Okay,
I'm uploading the question right now.
then. P
You'll see in a second.
greater than 90. Okay.
Okay, and then you also have another question.
if what's it called? If you have a psychometry, but your bagrut is if your psychometry is over 50, but your bagrut is less than 40,
Okay.
for example.
If psychometry is not empty and bagrut is over 90, then what you want to do?
Then 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 the answer is going to be accepted in the bottom of the user form.
Message box.
This is the final exam example at the bottom. Number 2.
Okay. Now what's the next? Take-
1 second. Here, never mind. Here's what it says. If an average of bagut grade is less than 80, if there are only 3 units in English, if they do not do psychometry test and the bagut grade was under 90, and whatever. There's a lot of things. So the whole point is, it's asking you for a lot of conditions in a single if.
No. This is one if. This is another if. You say, okay, so if I have psychometry and it's above 90, then accept it.
Nachon.
Okay? And if I don't have psychometry, okay, else, I don't have psychometry, or if I have psychometry and bagrut is not over 90, so I put over here an else, okay, so I just take care of each private case at the time, okay, so you have psychometry or not. If I have psychometry, I do over here all the cases of what happens if I have psychometry. If I'm above 90, accepted. If I'm below 50, not accepted. So I have over here else, and else, and else, until I took care of all the cases of psychometry I have. Then else, after all of this, after I took care of all of these, I'll do else, meaning I don't have psychometry, and I take care of all the cases where I don't have the psychometry.
There's one problem. Because there's a lot of conditions in this question, there's some times where the conditions are fulfilled and sometimes where there aren't. So you have to go through every single time you put in a new condition, you have to go and make all the other conditions positive. So you don't want one of them to cancel the other one out because that's problematic. So it is sometimes it's better to you make an entire condition like we said B is greater than 90 and P is not equal to empty cell. You make that an integer like X equals false. And then you could do and then you have X, Y, and Z, which are like, let's say, for example, that's 3 conditions. You say if X equals false, and Y equals false, and Z equals false, as opposed to writing a million things in one if. That's a lot better than just making a million ifs, because that could also make you go, it's unorganized.
Okay, so you're just suggesting another way which works better for you to understand the whole thing. There's
always more than one way, yeah.
Like I said, in every one of these questions, there are several ways to solve